we have different roles. Males and females are different. Doesn't mean that one is better than the other.
Nope.
We're just different, and that's okay. So I think if we start losing that and trying to have guys be girls and girls be guys, then that's the mindset of the society that's actually going into chaos, in my opinion.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Building Your Own Economy podcast. Today I have a special guest. His name is Steve Martinez, or Martinez, depending on where you're from in the world. And Steve is the number one guy in energy optimization in the world. And I'm proclaiming that for him. This guy is incredible. He practices what we call functional medicine, or what he calls functional medicine, and optimizing your health. I think everybody in the world can agree that health is one of the most important things you should focus on every single day. And without somebody like Steve in my corner or in your corner, I promise you, you're missing out on opportunities to advance yourself, to live a happy, healthy life, to avoid the pitfalls of feeling old and out of shape and out of energy, because Steve helps to optimize all that. So I am excited to share some of the things we're going to share today, especially things about testosterone for women. That seems to be something crazy. Some things about, we're going to talk about Liver King and some of the things that he was on. We're going to talk about the vaccine and COVID, health in a general sense. But more importantly, we're going to talk about how we can optimize our own health. So welcome to today's podcast, Mr. Steve Martinez.
Thanks for having me. It's been a fun time.
Thank you for being here. So first off, why should somebody know Steve Martinez?
Steve Martinez. Well, it kind of depends on what they're looking for in life. I mean, so one of the things I have a passion for and I focus on is helping each individual, including myself, become the best version of themselves. And so my specialty in what I do is I help customize programs and routines for each individual based on their goals, based on their dreams and what they're looking to achieve in life, to help take them to the next level in a medical setting. So I'm a functional medicine specialist, and I focus on peptides, hormones, and to really optimize the cell, because you and I we're created with cells. So if the cells are optimal, then we will be optimal. And so that's kind of what we do. And
well, how does so we got cells? I knew that. Yeah. How many cells have we got in our body?
About 37 trillion different cells, kind of recycling and renewing themselves.
They die, right? They just regenerate themselves. Some faster than others, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it depends. It's different cells in different parts of the body do different things. But yeah, no, we're cycling through cells all the time, and so the condition and health and strength of our cells will actually dictate the condition and strength and who we are as human beings. So it's all about the cells.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So somebody with strong cells means they're a strong person?
They should be.
Like physically, or just like health strong?
I think health strong overall. I mean, it depends. Like I said, each cell in our body is responsible for different things. So it depends if we're talking about brain cells, heart cells, muscle cells, bone cells. So every cell, depending on the location and area within our system, has a different responsibility. So how we strengthen each of those cells and within our system will eventually give us the outcome we're looking for in certain ways within our life.
Well, this is kind of interesting to me, because obviously I know a lot about this from you, but most people don't think about cells and they don't think about like optimization. Most people, I mean, like what makes somebody think about the things you do now? Like, how does somebody come to you and say, I'm thinking about my cells?
Yeah, normally they don't say that unless they come in doing some of their homework. But really what they say is the symptoms they're experiencing, the problems and complications that they might be encountering in life. Oh, I'm fatigued. I have weight gain. I have no energy. I can't sleep at night. I have joint pain, things like that.
I've had all those things.
Yeah, me too. I think we all have it in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, that's what I think some days. So if they come to you those things, that's what they say?
The question I ask, so there's different philosophies of medicine. So really, like I said, I practice functional medicine. So what we do is we get down to the root cause of the individual's complications. So I say that I don't treat the symptoms, I treat the system, because the system is actually producing the symptoms if the system isn't working to the optimal levels like it should. So again, the question is, why isn't it working to optimal levels? And I think that's a question and answer that is different for each individual. Why? Because we're all different. I could have 10 people lined up in front of me, and they all have anxiety and migraines, but for different reasons. So finding out that reason for each individual is what I specialize in, and like I said, and help customize routines to help overcome their complication.
How do you find the individual, like for everybody, how do they how do you know what it is? Like, what do you do to find the root cause, the system? How do you do that?
I think first and foremost is taking time to listen to each individual story. Because a lot of times in medicine, in my opinion, is that we're rushing people out the door. You know, the average time a individual receives with a conventional clinician, a conventional medicine appointment is about 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
What can we really talk about and solve in 7 minutes? So that's
Are you serious? 7 minutes?
7
like
minutes.
Literally 7 minutes.
7 minutes. And that's being generous at times.
Most people spend more time in the bathroom.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think it starts with time. If we actually learn about the individual, learn about your story, learn about what you're going through, things that you've tried, things that you haven't tried that worked, that hasn't worked, then I'm able to learn about this individual who's pretty much opening up to me, and I could join your team. Because if I don't know you, I can't help you.
But wouldn't you? I mean, just friend devil's advocate. Wouldn't every medical practitioner that meets a patient, wouldn't they want to know more about the patient?
They want to.
But
they want to, but they can't.
Why can't they?
And I was in that situation too before I actually broke away and started my own practice. Is because of the way the model of medicine is designed in the United States. Is because the sicker we are, the more money they make. So really, it's more of a instead of a proactive approach, it's a reactive approach. It's instead of, in my opinion, healthcare, it's sick care. Well, let's wait till you're sick to do something about it instead of getting ahead of the game and prevent for something to happen in the first place in the future. We don't have that mindset because, again, the sicker you are, the more pills you'll need and the more money I will make. So big pharma and things like that.
Do you really believe that doctors really think that way, that they're just like, I just want people to be sick?
No, it's not them. It's the system. It's the model that a lot of times they become trapped in. Because I know a lot of clinicians that want to do what I do, but they can't. Well, they can, but the risk is scary at times. You know, even
what's the risk involved?
Breaking away from the insurance, from the Western model of medicine.
So insurance companies?
A lot of times, because what people don't realize is that insurance actually dictates the care, therapy, and treatment and routines that an individual receives. I'll give you an example. If somebody needs a certain test, say they need to check their testosterone, or they need to check their progesterone, or their thyroid. Oh, yeah. But if the insurance won't cover those labs, then the clinician won't get reimbursed, even though the clinician feels they're necessary to help treat this individual.
So let me get this straight. Like if I go to my local clinic down the street, just say it's just normal clinic, not functional medicine.
Sure.
And I say, hey, I feel like I'm not my energy, or I feel like I got this pain, or whatever it may be.
Right.
And I ask them to do something about it, and they're like, well, let's run some tests, right? And then if the insurance isn't going to cover it, then the insurance also doesn't cover the visit.
Well, not the visit as a whole, but it won't be a complete coverage at times. And every insurance is different. But a lot of times, if it's not covered, then the individual will have to pay. And a lot of times, sometimes the individual is the one that's like, hey, I want to use my insurance 100%.
I know those people.
Yeah, so only order what my insurance will cover. Well, then in a way, it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot, and me as a clinician is shortchanging you because I'm not doing
because there should be more.
There needs to be more. We're only a lot of times only scratching the surface and doing about 10 to 20% of what we need to actually understand what's going on with you. But like I said, a lot of times you don't need to because the visit's only 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you don't have time to go over all the details because you're rushed out the door. Hey, here's a pill for your ill, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, get out of here. Let's solve this until you need to come back for the next problem.
Exactly.
And so it's not really solving the problem. I've seen this. I remember going to the doctor as a kid, and it used to be when I was a kid. I remember his name was Mr. Simpson, I think.
Yeah.
And he was – that's actually funny. I think it was Simpson.
Homer?
Or Simmons. Yeah, it was Homer. Simmons or Simpson.
Homer.
Anyways, it was so funny because I remember that was like, hey, he would talk to you. He'd ask questions.
Right.
He'd give you a lollipop. And, all those things.
Yeah, you were happy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think medicine's like that anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and I go back to it, and I had to state this again because it's not the clinicians. Because a lot of clinicians, one, they don't know any better because that's the way they were trained, and that's the way I was trained as well. But a lot, and two, it's like they're trapped within this model. And it's like, well, I don't know what else to do. I don't have any other opportunities unless they create one, which, again, is scary to do, but it's very rewarding. I've never been more happy practicing medicine than I am now.
So you basically you left what people would call traditional Western. Yeah. I guess you're calling it Western because that's just the way I'm assuming the rest of the world describes it as.
It is. Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And so you left that world. So you still see. I mean, what's the difference? I treat
and see everything that a normal outside clinician at a conventional clinic would treat, but my approach is different. So again, if somebody is having migraines, well, then I'm looking at things like magnesium, nitric oxide, potassium, NAD, testosterone, hormonal balance versus giving somebody just a migraine pill.
Yeah, because that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they have the migraine medicine. I see people all the time with the little green bottles. And they're just like popping two pills.
Exactly. So it's the approach. It's the approach I take. And like I said, I'm looking to get people optimal, not just normal, not just surviving, but thriving. And so that's the difference of how I
it seems
practice.
pretty common sense to think, now that you put it in this way to me, when I heard this the first time, I was like, well, that makes so much sense because there has to be a root cause to me having a headache today.
There always is.
It can't just be, well, you're just born with headaches.
Yeah. It doesn't happen like that. Yeah.
I can see that because I think that's the way we're taught. Like, if you have a headache, there's a pill because that's just what you're supposed to do, right? Like aspirin.
Yeah.
Right? Aspirin is the number one thing most people would know what it is, and they know what it looks like.
And it works. I'm not denying it works. It works really well.
None of the medicines that are probably out there don't have an effect to cause whatever is happening to stop.
Right.
But it's probably causing another.
It is. Down the road. And like I said, a lot of times we're learning things, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road of what a pill or what a medication, the side effects and complications from it. So
kind of like vaccines?
Kind of like vaccines a little bit. We can talk about that a little bit too. You're like, what are we putting in our bodies? Are we do we know what we're consuming? And a lot of times the answer is no. Why? Because we're in my opinion, what we're doing is we're giving away our power. We're giving away our decision making. We're passing on the keys and the authority to someone else to make decisions for us. And that's the approach that I don't have. I'll join someone along their journey, but I don't want to be in charge of their journey. I don't want to be driving the vehicle, but I'll help guide them. But I want them to take charge and know what they're doing. Because in medicine, in my opinion, what we do a lot of the times, again, probably for many reasons, but because of the time, is we do a lot of telling but not teaching. We're telling people do this, 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 and this, but why? And I think if we spend more time teaching, then we're going to have a deeper relationship and a lot higher level of success as well.
I would add here that I think that what you're saying is 100% spot on, but there's kind of a nuance now that I think there's kind of an underlying, we'll call it a condition to the world we live in today that people are not willing to take responsibility for their health. They actually are proactively seeking the pill, the shot, and by the way, that there's so many ways you can take this, but I think there's an active feeling. It's just like, look, I don't want to experience this. Just give me something for it.
Exactly. Because a lot of times what I need to do in the beginning of our visits, because what we do, again, is a lot more in depth, is a lot more engaging than just giving you a pill. But a lot of times you're right. People want that because what individuals need to do, our clients, they need to be willing to at least be encouraged and have the dedication, not motivation, but dedication to give up and change what brought them to me in the first place. And if they're not willing to do that,
so it's kind of like an alcoholic admitting they have a problem.
First step. Yeah, you got to identify the problem. If you don't, then we're just kind of lost in space.
So I'm assuming that people don't randomly just walk into your office or schedule appointments unless they have a commitment to at least thinking about changing.
It's because a lot of other options and decisions they've made have failed. And they're like, well, you know what? I don't know where else to go. You're my last stop. And it's like, no pressure, right? But they say that to me. They say, if you can't help me, no one can. I was like, all right, well, let's dive into it. And so it's one of those things that, I'm not a miracle worker. I don't have a magic wand or anything like that. But it's like what we do is really, again, listen to each individual story, treat you like an individual, not like a number. And then we develop that relationship to learn about who you are, where you want to go, and how we can work together to get you there.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you are actually trying to find the combination to solve or open the lock of good health.
Yeah, trying to.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, because I'm assuming it's just like levers, like this needs to be adjusted and this needs to be adjusted and this needs to go up and this down and so on and so forth to make this solved, whatever that is, headaches or weight loss or.
Absolutely, because it's kind of like a vehicle. It's like, hey, it's the normal to optimal surviving and thriving. Because if I ask somebody that, hey, how can does your car run? He's like, yeah, my car drives, no problem. Great, can I borrow it, drive to San Antonio? Oh man, It won't. It
I've
won't
had
make
that happen before.
Yeah, it won't make it. It won't make it. It won't make it down the street. It's like, well, why not? Well, it has 4 flat tires and
low pressure.
Yeah, it has the engine.
Needs an oil change.
Yeah, exactly. So the question
I've been
isn't.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have too, man. I have too.
been there.
Especially when I drove from Washington down to Texas. It was interesting. But the question is, they didn't lie to me because I asked, hey, did your car run? And they said yes. But the question we need to ask in medicine is, how well does a car run? How well does it work?
That's such a good statement, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like they can tell you that you can ask a person like, what type of car do you have and what model, but you don't ask them what year it is. Could be
exactly.
like an 87 Pinto, right?
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait a minute. It's not
exactly. And that's kind of the thing. Is like, hey, is someone living? The answer is yeah, they're alive, but what's the quality of their life? Is it because there's no doubt, and the research proves and shows that we are living longer as a society. There's no doubt about that. But I believe that we're aging quicker because I'm seeing things.
Whoa, that's a big statement.
Yeah, it's true because I see things that 30 and 40-year-olds are experiencing that normally like late 50s, 60s, and 70-year-olds usually experience. And so we're experiencing these things sooner in life, anywhere from like premenopausal symptoms to erectile dysfunction to these other things. So,
well, why do you think that is? Is it just from side effects from other medicine? Or?
No, I think a lot of times it's multidimensional. I think a lot of times it's the food we're eating, our diet.
And by the way, to be clear, you don't mean like what type of foods. It's actually not. It is what type of food, not how much or anything. It's just the quality of the food.
A piece of broccoli isn't what broccoli was 100 years ago.
Yeah,
because of the ground, the soil it's grown in, the pollutants in the air, the chemicals that's being sprayed on, all those matter because what's happening is actually these things that we're consuming is actually changing the dynamics and communication of the cell. It's all you got it, man. We're on the same page. We're vibing
I learned
now.
something today.
Exactly. So again, it all comes down to the cell, and so again, these things that we experience, what we breathe, what we eat, what we drink, things like that, has a dramatic impact. And we have choices. Hey, do I want to accept that and just kind of survive in life, or do I want to change it? Because we can. It takes some effort and dedication, but it can be possible, and that's who we work with.
So do you think that people are weaker now, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
But they're living longer?
Absolutely.
And I can actually see that.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is that I was in Washington State last year, which I think that's where you're from.
Yep.
Was last year, 2 years ago. And we were driving from Seattle to down where my family lives in the Tri-Cities area. And along that journey, there's a few casinos. And I'm with my mom and everybody, and they like to gamble. I'm not a gambler. I was like, well, we'll stop, have some fun.
Yeah.
But I remember driving through this parking lot. I mean, this is a big casino. Indian casino.
They're
huge.
big. They do it right, yeah.
Okay. And then we drive into the parking lot. I'm like, man, there's a lot of parking up front. And I swear there had to have been like 300 handicap spaces.
Oh, absolutely.
Handicap. I mean, it was rows of them. And I'm like, are there this many people who can't walk, like can't move, have to be carted around?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, in my mind, this is just everybody's going to watch this. It's just like, I don't want to live that way. Building my own economy involves health. But what I would say is, if I have to be carted around and I have to park in the handicap spot, I probably don't have any ambition to live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. Like,
it is. It comes down to priorities and what people want. I mean, it's really, we all have choices in life, and for our lives to change, our habits need to change. So what kind of habits do you have as an individual? Because if you have poor habits, well, guess you're gonna get poor outcomes. And that's kind of where it's at. And a lot of times as human beings, let's face it, we're lazy creatures. We like just relaxing. We like sleeping in. We like having long hot showers. We like just eating food, having sex, and just that's it. We don't need to work hard,
you
right?
Need my whole life in a sentence.
Exactly. but that does reflect, on the situations we have as a society. We're lazier because we have more things at our disposal, our cell phones, the internet, and things like that. We don't need to go out and do things. We can go shopping for groceries, online. We don't have to go out and walk around the grocery store.
Yep. That's so funny. I actually do that. I just started using this Walmart delivered. That solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. So things like that, which we a lot of times we see as a comedy, but in the grand scheme of things, they add up to causing us to be less active.
It's so funny that everything you're saying I do. And that's because I think I'm a pretty active guy.
Yeah, but you have a dedication of hey, I'm dedicated to going to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm working out, taking care of my body. So these are things that that was their exercise. That was them getting out and going into the world. That was their, exposure to outside of their living room. And if you take away that, and they can do everything from a click on the phone, then they're sitting down all day.
So do you think, I mean, we're talking about people living longer, but not really living longer, right? It's
No,
more
they're
of a
surviving, not thriving.
existing, it's an
Existing,
existence,
yep.
right? So let's talk about men real quick, because I
Sure.
know you have some programs. I know you had Alliance Lead,
Yep.
which is for men.
Yep.
Are men getting weaker?
Here we are.
I
Yeah.
mean, like physically, mentally,
spiritually, intellectually, emotionally.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of times there's imbalances, and a lot of times I think it's multidimensional as well. Is like, in society that a lot of times being masculine is looked down upon. Oh, you're being
Macho,
machismo, things like that. And it's like, well, we have different roles. Males and females are different. Doesn't mean that one is better than the other.
Nope.
We're just different, and that's okay. So I think if we start losing that and trying to have guys be girls and girls be guys, then that's the mindset of the society that's actually going into chaos, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So with guys, if you have an alpha male, then yeah, they're looked down upon. It's like, oh, that guy's an asshole or whatever. It's
I can
like,
see that.
So
Been
a
called
lot of
that.
times, yeah, exactly. But again, it's in our foods, what we're eating, what we're drinking. These bottles right here, they have what's called endocrine disruptors in them because of the plastic in these bottles. These actually are extremely detrimental to our testosterone production.
Bro, why did I buy these?
I know, dude. That's why I'm not. Well, actually, I drink some. I'm not drinking it, but so
How do you drink water then?
I know. Yeah, glass
Please,
bottles,
please.
spring water.
If they sold it, I do. Okay, I'm gonna find glass bottles. Thank
Yeah.
everybody watching. We're buying glass bottles. From
glass
now
bottles,
on.
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just a piece, and it's like that we talk about things like anything in a bag or a box, or we're going to Whataburger or McDonald's or whatever. Those things impact who we are. Why? Because it causes inflammation. Inflammation where? Inflammation within our cells. And if our cells aren't able to operate to optimal levels, well, guess what? We're going to start chipping away as a society, as a gender. And yeah, men aren't going to be as vibrant and as enthusiastic and as strong and have the vitality of a lion that we want, but that we're losing little by little because we're giving it away in different things. So, and that's why I created Lions Lead, different male programs to help men feel like men again. Because you'd be surprised how many times guys come in my office and they're embarrassed, they're upset, they're depressed, and they're crying because like they have erectile dysfunction, they have mental fog, they're gaining weight, losing their muscle mass, they have no energy to play catch with their boy outside. And these are the things that the quality of life things that are being stripped away from them, which causes anxiety, depression, and things like that. And then what happens? Well, they get a pill to help with the symptoms. And those pills,
The blue pills.
blue pills, blue pills, that's one of them. Or like Prozac, Xanax, Lexapro or whatever. And those actually lower testosterone even more.
Really?
So it's a vicious circle that a lot of times I'm stuck. I don't know what to do to get out of this.
Yeah.
So that's why spending time, listening to their story, not rushing them out the door in 7 minutes helps me engage with them, develop that relationship, and then that's where the magic's made.
Yeah, this actually ties to something that it's funny because you watch all the media right now and they're all talking about Andrew Tate, and Andrew Tate, a lot of things I may not agree with him, but there's some things I do, and one of the things he says is like to men, because he's talking to men, young men, and he's like, look, if you're depressed, go to the gym, get a six pack, and then tell me you're depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, that's so smart though, because you don't get to the gym, you don't like if you look good, you feel good. You know what I mean? If you do it the right way, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
if you're not on all these drugs and things, that probably messes
Right.
with your head.
It does.
But I'm assuming if you just work out every day, you get, it feels good. I think confidence is probably a drug that you can't buy.
Big thing.
You just can't buy
huge.
it.
Yep.
And so you can't snort it. You can't smoke it. You can't do it. Confidence comes from being the best version of yourself.
And knowing that, hey, I am doing my best. Yeah, no one's perfect. No one will ever be perfect. But as long as you're out there trying and not giving up, the only way you lose is if you quit. Never quit, never lose.
Quitters.
Yeah.
Quitters.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that, again, it comes down to not only who you want to, be in life, but who do you want to become? That's the real question, in my opinion, because like I say, you can be a firefighter, you can be a lawyer, a doctor, whomever, but what type of firefighter, lawyer, and doctor do you want to be? And that's where really the character of the individual comes into play. And if you're holding yourself to high standards and doing the best you can be in life, then that's going to ooze and spread to everybody you encounter. And that's where life really gets fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the whole point of what we in our BYOE community is it's really about living life on your own terms. And I think if you don't have good health,
oh yeah,
and actually, I mean that's a really good. So what is good health?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think not having any limitations to do what you want to do, to dream like you want to dream, to have the imagination versus, hey, I want to go run a marathon, but man, my back's so bad, my knees, I'm 50 pounds overweight. It's kind of like one of those things that, hey, you have the opportunity to do these things. You've got to make a choice to change your habits so you can do things. So I think good health is different to everybody. Some people, guys, want to do something like that. Some guys just want to play catch with their little boy. Some guys want to be able to have sex with their wife again, or whoever. I don't know. That is different for each individual. And that's, again, it goes back to what I say in the beginning. It takes time learning about the individual, what they want to achieve, and how we can work together as a team to get them there. So, but yeah, good health, I think as a whole, is looking at your inflammatory markers, looking at your liver, your gut, your kidneys, your brain, your heart, all the foundational things that we need as a human being, no matter who you are, to live longer and stronger. And that's kind of where I think we start, and then we grow and customize as we move forward.
That's cool. So somebody who comes to you, you meet with them, you ask them some questions, and then you prescribe something?
Yeah, we kind of develop a routine. So really, when someone comes into me, that we're talking about, hey, welcome, what brings you here today, and they kind of open up and share. It's like, hey, I have A, B, and C things that I'm struggling with. I want to overcome. I want to improve on, but I just haven't been able to do that yet. Great. Let's break it down into different phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So that's kind of how we operate. We don't do everything all at once because we can overwhelm the system. So really learning about each phase and building on each phase is how we approach things. And again, it comes down to a customized routine. Maybe it's detoxification. Maybe it's peptide therapy, hormone therapy, gut health, sleep, these types of things, meditation, breathing even. So all those things matter.
Interesting.
And if we're off balance in one area, we're still, again, surviving, but we're not thriving. So we got to identify different pillars that need improvement and then work together to improve them. And it is possible. You just need to talk to the right person.
Yeah, so talking to you, I learn a lot all the time, and I'm thinking about sales. I'm looking about things that we can optimize. I think that from my perspective, looking at what I've wanted in my life. I mean, I'm about to be 40. That's crazy to fucking say.
Yeah, I'll welcome you to 40.
Yeah, this
41 next month.
This morning I was recording a live video, and I was talking about getting the best shape of my life, and then I'm talking about it, and I'm like, because this year I'm going to be 40. And I said it, right? And I had never said that. Well, obviously, because I just turned 39.
Yeah.
But it was like one of those like, oh shit, I'm going to be 40 years old this year. Now, I mean, I feel better today than I did at 18, no joke, or 19. So I'm not complaining. But what I'm getting at is I'm like, man, as I age, there's got to be I think I have to focus more on this health thing, right? This journey is very important.
Right.
And so this morning as I was talking about it, I'm like, how do I get to my optimal health? How do I do my best every single day? So like for guys that are watching, or gals, guys and girls, what is it like? I mean, without even going to the doctor or going to you or going anywhere, I mean, because I actually think a lot of people are going to the doctor right now and just saying, help me lose weight. Right. Like, that's,
you're right.
Like, that's all they're doing, right?
Yep,
like, I don't think anybody, and I think every doctor says, please lose weight.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that comes down to like telling, but teaching. How do you do that? So.
Well, I mean, so how does somebody, like, for an example, how do they lose weight? What do you recommend without, maybe just simple changes and things that like don't require a whole lot? I mean, I'm assuming lifestyle is a big deal, but but something simple. Do you have any?
Yeah. So one of the main things that causes people to gain weight or prevents them from losing weight that a lot of times we overlook is stress. It really is stress. And what is stress? Well, stress can be a lot of different things. So a lot of times it's stress within relationships. Yeah, it could be stress with food, alcohol. But one of the number one things is lack of sleep. People aren't sleeping anymore like they should. The depth of sleep. And that's one of the things that we need to improve on, because what happens is when our bodies are stressed, our bodies go into what's called the fight or flight mode. Okay, and that means your body's producing higher levels of cortisol. Cortisol is an inflammatory hormone, and we need cortisol. We just don't want a lot of it for a long period of time. When we have elevated levels of cortisol for a long period of time, it starts decreasing and impacting our anabolic hormones. Anabolic hormones are the hormones that keep us strong, vital, and active. So testosterone, melatonin, growth hormone, these three primarily are suppressed when cortisol is high, because cortisol is a catabolic hormone suppressing anabolic hormones. So these hormones, when they're lower, we feel lower. And we can't sleep. Yeah, so it's all about that balance. We focus on the systems, because the systems, remember, produce the symptoms. So Things like your thyroid, testes, ovaries, adrenal glands, gut health. Those are the things that we need to focus on. And a lot of times those systems are way off balance. Like, the question is, why? And it's different for each person. So that's why, again, spending time with the individual.
So there's no pill to solve the sleep problem.
There's not. Well, yeah, no, there's pills, but it's one of those things that it comes down to what's causing your sleep issues in the first place. Now, there are common denominators. Okay, hey, your adrenal glands are way out of whack. Well, why? Oh, because of my relationship, my kids, I hate my job, or whatever. So it's doing our best within what we have in front of us to try to improve the situation as much as possible. A lot of times it's hard. Not impossible, but it's difficult. That's where the dedication and not motivation comes into play to really make the changes you want to be in life.
Interesting. So there's a lot of things revolve around sleep, and it's interesting because recently I bought a bed a few months back, and I thought it was going to solve my sleep problems.
Yeah.
It didn't solve shit, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
was a good sales pitch. I'll tell you that. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy was like, "Oh, it's gonna have cooling, and it's gonna put you in zero gravity.
Oh my gosh! Floating in space and everything.
It vibrates and it does everything." I'm like, "Do I have to put a coin in it?"
Right.
But I mean, I'm honestly, I don't feel like it did any different in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my previous mattress wasn't like a nice, expensive mattress, but it was a decent mattress.
Sure.
This one was like, the Cadillac of mattresses.
Right.
And, I feel like I'm still in, a Hyundai or something.
I'm right there with you. I invested in an anti-aging bed with an awesome mattress, and I would say I improved all my sleep a little bit, but it wasn't the end-all, say-all. I still have other areas I need to improve on. So It's one of those things. It's a journey. And like I said, I'm not sitting here acting like I got it all figured out. Far from. It's just one of those things that, trying to identify certain markers and say, where can I make improvements in my life? Because I'm struggling here, I'm struggling there, and maybe I've been struggling with these issues for the last 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 years. It's time to make a change. What are you waiting for? It's not going to get better unless you make some changes.
I think pain changes people.
Absolutely. Pain, big time.
Yeah, but sometimes pain causes them to just go to the fastest solution. Right?
Absolutely.
Everybody picks the fastest solution, right? Like, if people don't want to lose weight, they want to get liposuction.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. They don't want to go exercise or change their diet, right?
Yeah. By the way, if people do that kind of stuff, let's say lipo, does that mess up anything?
It really doesn't. There's more research coming out that's saying that when we do fat transfer, because you're taking, say, abdominal cells and putting it in the in the butt or something like that. There's studies out there that could have some issues.
Really?
But yeah, maybe because different cells in different locations. Yeah. So go talk to your doctor after you got yours. You're fine, right? Right. But no, really, I haven't seen any complications.
Okay.
No,
I'm just wondering, because I see people post about things like that. They get plastic surgery, they get lipo, they get things, and I'm like, man, like, wouldn't that? Does that not mess up anything? Hormones, gut?
Not that I've seen dramatic. Now, I will say that breast augmentations, that is a different story. Now, because with lipo, we're taking out. With breast augmentations, breast implants, we're putting in. And those are considered foreign objects. Are those very? They are. Yeah, they are. They're
foreign objects.
Yeah,
right. Never seen those before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what are these guys?
They weren't
doing
there
here?
before.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that it doesn't affect everybody, and a lot of times there's a condition that we see sometimes called BII, breast implant illness. Doesn't happen to everybody, Well,
I'm imagining that I'm assuming anything foreign to the body, which is unnatural in my definition, would cause something. Some sort of imbalance or something, because it's not natural.
It is. It's like, hey, it's not supposed to be here.
It's just
how it will affect each individual is different. If you have somebody who has an autoimmune disease and diabetic with breast implants, it might affect them different than someone who's completely healthy. I don't know. I can't predict that. And that's kind of what inflammation does, because they do cause inflammation to some level. That inflammation usually takes the path of least resistance. So whatever you're more prone to, a lot of times you could experience that at a higher level if you have some kind of inflammatory stimulant in your body. So
got it. Okay. So speaking of health, right? We went through 2 years of some bullshit lockdown, where many of us were put in a position where we couldn't do anything we wanted, couldn't have anything we wanted. And it was all because of illness. Illness is the deal, right? And just kind of interesting is that, I don't know if I had COVID or not, but I feel like I got it. A few weeks back, I also got kind of like flu-like symptoms. That was it.
Yeah.
But today, just to be clear, I go to family gatherings still. I go to things with my friends and stuff, and people are sick, obviously sick. Like you can see somebody sick.
Sure.
They're coughing, they're sneezing.
Yep.
And everybody's just chill now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No big deal.
Like why do you believe that is?
I don't know. I think it's the influence that the media has in many ways, and what we're listening to, what we're watching, what we're reading, and things like that. Do you know how many viruses are out there in the world?
No, how many?
I have no idea.
Oh
yeah. I don't know either.
Yeah,
But what I do know is there's not a vaccine for every virus out there, right?
Oh, I mean, apparently, right?
Yeah. Well, no, there's not.
I know.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing, because we don't even know of all the viruses in situations that we're exposed to on a daily basis. We don't even know about them.
They may just not affect me, but they could affect you.
Yeah.
What you're saying, like there's a virus that could affect anybody individually differently.
Yeah, or it doesn't affect us at all. It's just there. So what I'm saying is, if we don't identify something or make a big deal out of something, then a lot of times then we don't worry about it. Not saying that's good or bad or right or wrong. I'm just saying that if it's not brought to our attention, a lot of times we don't worry about it, right? Now, this COVID situation was brought to our attention. I get that. It was a situation. It was something we went through. I get that. Do I think that it was overdone in many ways? Absolutely. Do I believe that there's a lot of guidance and things from the top that we were given that actually suppressed our immune system instead of enhanced our immune system? Absolutely. And so that's the frustrating part that I noticed during this journey.
Would you say that true? I mean, I kind of feel like it's true though, because for the last year, like for 2 years, 2020, most of 2020 and 2021, I kind of worked from home. I wasn't scared. Yeah. It's just like, it was just me just wanting to work from home. Like it was actually a really cool time for me.
Yeah, no, a lot of people love that too. I mean, a lot of businesses change their model and everything too. So,
but then 2022 comes around. Well, late 21, I started coming to the office more. 2022, all year I've been here. But I got more sick this year than I got last 2 years.
Yeah.
And it bothers me, man. I'm like, why am I sick? But that kind of makes sense. What you're saying is that my immune system was probably chilling for 2 years.
Yeah, because you got to remember, our immune system, we have to support our immune system. We have an immune system for a reason, for our immunity, right? And so a lot of times we strengthen our immune system by exposing ourselves to the outside world, exposing ourselves to other people. That's why having little kids, play and get dirty. And that's actually not a bad thing, because it helps strengthen their immune system. That's how we are created, right? So when we try to alter that by suppressing things or preventing things like that, and vitamin D levels are through the floor because we're staying inside all day. We're not going outside because of this or that. And I get, everybody's situations, thoughts, and journeys are different when it comes to COVID. I respect that. This is just my opinion, how I lived during this pandemic. As far as we need to get out there, because there's always going to be viruses out there. There's always going to be something out there. And like I said, our immune system is there for a reason. We need to support it, in my opinion. Right? It's not medical advice, just my opinion, right? A little disclaimer there. But that's what we need to do, is learn about what we know and how to enhance it, do it, and a lot of times you'll be fine.
Just make it better.
Just make it better. Or if you do get COVID, you're not going to be hit as hard. Why? Because, you're doing things in a supportive role, a proactive role, instead of a reactive role. And that's what I practice.
Well, I mean, I think we reacted pretty heavy to a virus that we didn't know or didn't see. Mm-hmm. And, I've been seeing so many articles and so many, even that player. I don't know. I don't watch enough sports, but there's that player. Have you seen the football player that collapsed on the field?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah, and now they're saying
Buffalo Bills. Yeah,
I saw like 3 articles that came out and it said it could be from a vaccine shot. Is that? Do you think that could be possible? I'm
Absolutely.
saying it is.
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, disclaimer again, is that I hear of 11-year-olds having strokes. When was the last time you heard of a 9-year-old and 11-year-old have a stroke?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. When have you heard, all these sports athletes, some of the top athletes in the world, just dropping dead for no reason on the soccer field, on the football field, on the tennis court? You never heard of that before. So like I said, am I making a bold claim that, oh my gosh, it was definitely vaccine related? No, but there is a correlation that I think is, if we're responsible in medicine to try to figure out the reason why, I think we need to look at that, because when we talk about an unapproved rushed vaccine that was designed to really, in a way, mutate our DNA.
I was about to say, it's a gene mutation, right?
Mutate our DNA to actually replace our immune system, then we can have problems.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like, sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. So like I said,
when you
it's
put
one
it
of those
that
things.
way.
Yeah, we're learning about these things. I'm not sitting here proclaiming that, oh my gosh, I know it all. I have all the answers. Far from. But again, I know what I know. I know what to do in certain situations. I don't know it all, but I know what to do in situations. And that's how we're serving our community for those around the country that come to us looking for help because they've been neglected in many, many different ways and not given the help and attention they need. And so that's the battle we're up against in many ways.
Oh, I would imagine that most people are just accepting of whatever comes at them. I think that's why, the concept of building your own economy is so important is that I honestly believe that the world in all almost, we could call it Western because that's interesting to say
Sure.
it that way.
Yeah.
But the Western world is being designed to prevent us from failing than from winning.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like
Exactly.
It's like medicine that prevents you from dying.
Right, exactly.
Instead
exactly.
of living.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like we'll keep you surviving, we'll keep you breathing,
Yeah.
but we'll just keep you on the couch or in bed all day.
Yeah. So we just, a few months back, I did my medical directive, which is, obviously, if you get sick and you go in the hospital and you become a vegetable, what do?
Yeah.
And I was just like,
exactly.
pull the plug.
Yeah.
like I ain't coming back, baby. I don't
Yeah.
need this. Like
Yeah.
I'm not here to survive. I'm here to thrive.
Right.
And if I can't thrive, man, I'll find a way to thrive in any environment. However, I don't want to live like a vegetable.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Yeah.
I think that's the difference between people who do build their own economy and those that don't is the people that make a decision that they don't want to just live in life and survive because survival is. Every time I think of survival, I think of like somebody who's in a panic mode,
Right?
Trying to find something, scouring for things. Whereas somebody who's is thriving rather is like strong and confident and focused and driven and probably prepared, which is a better way than surviving. Survivalists aren't prepared. They're in reactive mode. Is that a better way to say it? Probably.
Perfect way to say it, and that's so true in many ways, and that's kind of where it comes down to proactive, not reactive. In philosophy and mindset of medicine, it's like it depends what people want to do. It's like, do you want to be the best? Do you want to have energy, or do you want to have energy of a 65-year-old, or do you want to be 65 and have the energy of a 35-year-old?
But
it's your choice.
Is it just they come into you? The 65 comes for the sex, or what? Like he just wants to do whatever.
A lot of times that is a topic of conversation.
Is it really?
Yeah. Because
what do you give somebody that is in a functional medicine practice?
Yeah.
And somebody comes to you and you don't give them the blue pill. What do you give them?
A lot of times I'm looking at their cholesterol levels. I'm looking at their magnesium levels. I'm looking at their testosterone levels because
those three things will play a factor in the
huge, not even a little factor, a huge factor.
Really? So you don't even need pills?
No, because nitric oxide is the element that our bodies produce to help create dilation, vasodilation within our system. More dilation, more blood flow. Well, as the number one hormone that produces nitric oxide is testosterone. Well, guess what testosterone does as you age? It goes down. So lower testosterone, lower nitric oxide, less vasodilation, less blood flow to the man. less blood flow to the man.
Yeah.
The man's not going to be showing up like he wants to. Yeah. So that's why we say, hey, what's the problem there? Let's figure it out. Maybe optimize the nitric oxide, optimize the testosterone, maybe work on his cholesterol levels a little bit.
So obviously, as you're saying, as your age, but even if a guy at, let's say, 50 or 45 or 35 or 25, if they ever experience these things, it's the same thing, is what you're saying.
Same approach. Why? Because, like I said, if I have a 35-year-old come in, remember, like I said in the beginning, is like we're aging quicker, living longer, aging quicker. So, yeah, he might be experiencing something that a 55-year-old would normally experience, but now at 35. Why? Or maybe he's under a lot of stress. Remember? Cortisol, catabolic, suppresses anabolic. So anabolic hormones are low, symptoms begin. So we're treating the systems that are producing the symptoms. And that's the customized approach that we take.
So, so you're basically saying that you don't need a blue pill. You just need to get your shit together.
A lot of times, yes. Now, is the blue pill in our back pocket? Yeah, like sometimes we use that in the very beginning. I'll be honest, I have thousands of people that I serve. I probably given maybe 2 prescriptions of the blue pill just to use in the initial stages.
Because they wanted to go.
Well, a lot because they were going on vacation. Yeah, because one of them that did not too long ago, a few months ago, they're going to Cancun for their 25th anniversary. I was like, okay, well, hey, I can't correct this overnight for you because you're leaving. It's Tuesday and you're leaving on Friday. So let's do this, kind of buy you some time, and then we'll get down to the root cause and go from there. So.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I think about all the things that like most men, or I can only speak for men, not because I'm sexist. It's just that that's just who I am. And
You are.
I talk to men primarily.
Yeah.
So it's like I hear the things that they're going through, like balding, ED,
Weight
gut,
gain.
yeah, gut,
Losing muscle mass.
Yeah, like I hear all those things, and I'm like, man, there's got to be ways to check all. That's exactly why we met, because I was like, man, I was working out hard, I was stressing out. I had a lot of stress. I was working out. I couldn't get rid of a lot of belly fat. I couldn't really figure out what was holding me back.
Sure.
And I knew there was something, man.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, things can be normal too. And that's the kind of the mindset that I'm trying, the guests and clients that we serve, try to get out of that mindset, because I don't treat labs, I treat people. So the labs could be normal. And I have plenty of guys and girls coming into me and say, I have like mental fog, fatigue, weight gain, low libido, I'm losing my hair, I'm losing my muscle mass, but that my clinician, they tell me everything's normal. And the thing about that situation is the clinician that's telling this individual that I'm speaking with that everything's normal, they're not lying to them. You look at the lab results, the
lab company decides though.
Yeah, exactly. But they are normal though. But the range for these labs are like the Grand Canyon. About 95% of the people fit within those normal ranges. And if you're working with a clinician that just treats numbers and not people, then they care less about what you're experiencing, because they're only focused on those numbers. And if you only focus on those numbers, then you're missing the story of that person. And they're going to walk away very confused, depressed, because, oh my gosh, they told me everything's normal. I don't feel normal. I'm 42 years old. I guess this is how it's going to be.
This is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't need to accept that if you don't want to. And that's what I'm talking about. And what you're talking about, the message we're trying to convey is like, hey, you can take things to the next level if you want to. Will it take time and effort and dedication? Yes, but that's what's needed to go to the top.
That's right, man. Thinking about guys, thinking about all this testosterone eating.
Yeah.
Dude, so you know who Liver King is?
I heard about him.
So he obviously just came out a few weeks ago, stating that he was on some stuff, some steroids,
some vitamins.
Yeah. What's your take on steroids and the use of those things? And what do you think he was on? What do you think it's working? What is all this about?
Yeah, and I saw that come out, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's going to be raked through the coals. And a lot of times the things that he was taking, and I saw the list that he was taking an extensive routine. But was it a routine that I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is horrible, he's a bad guy? No, absolutely not. Why? Because I've taken a lot of things, full disclaimer, on that list. Why? Because if done in the right way, can enhance your life, enhance your energy, enhance your cells in a beautiful biological, bioidentical way. And so it's all about the routine of what he was taking that I kind of disagree with, because I think it was too much. But I think where he went wrong was not being open and honest with his audience.
Well, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But just like, are steroids bad?
Steroids bad. I guess it kind of classifies determines what you classify as steroids or performance enhancing, because really water can be performance enhancing. Right, because you need water to perform well, right?
Yeah.
So it's a kind of silly,
I know you're
example,
joking with it.
But it kind of depends on your definition. Now let's talk about testosterone again, or growth hormone,
TRT, right?
TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
That's very common, by the way, today.
Super common.
TRT is not. Would you consider that some sort of steroid?
I think testosterone is life-giving to males and females. Do you know testosterone?
Whoa! Are you saying women need testosterone?
Big time.
Whoa, everybody who's watching, this has got to be something good.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, testosterone is the most bioavailable hormone in the female body. Look it up. Bioavailable means it's more available and utilized in the body. It's needed in the body for females. Because
not men?
Well, no, men too. But people don't think about testosterone. When people think about testosterone,
they think men,
just men.
And you see the total T whatever.
Oh yeah. But even so, it's like. But when we think of estrogen, what do we think about?
Women.
Only females. But you know that erectile dysfunction, one of the number one causes for erectile dysfunction, is low estrogen in men.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So guys who are on TRT, like, oh, I'm trying to get my testosterone high as it can go, which I disagree with, but say they're trying to, and they're taking estrogen blockers, a lot of times low libido and erectile dysfunction. Because you need estrogen.
Does that shrink the balls? No.
The TRT?
No, the lack of estrogen or something.
No, it's actually the stimulation of the lighting cells, but we can get into that later. But it's one of the things that just to talk about hormone replacement therapy, we need hormones. Hormones keep us alive. Hormones keep our cells strong.
And testosterone's a hormone.
Testosterone is a hormone. It's a communication molecule within our body that's needed for life, for optimal performance.
And you're saying women need that. What do women need?
Absolutely.
Because I want to talk about ranges here because I think women do get. Well, do most women get their testosterone tested?
No, it's not even talked about. So a lot of times, women, we hear about health complications in society. So we talk about anxiety, depression, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, osteoporosis. Guys experience too, but it's more common in women. Why? Because because the testosterone is usually lower in women and testosterone is not being checked in women. But those areas that I just mentioned are dramatically impacted in a positive way when testosterone is replaced.
Interesting.
But if we're not talking about testosterone with girls, well, no wonder that these common issues that we hear about in society is more common in females than males because males have higher what? Testosterone, right?
Interesting.
So that's why if you're having these things, it's like, oh, sorry, this is just your age, you're older now, oh, you're depressed. Well, why am I depressed? I don't know, you're just depressed. Well, there's a reason why. Ladies, check your testosterone and don't have your testosterone
how
just be
often
normal.
Should somebody test their T?
Well, I think at least a couple times a year.
Everyone, male and female.
Male and female, but it depends what program you're on. I mean, if you're working with a hormonal specialist like myself, yeah, I'm going to optimize the lady's testosterone. And depending on where you're at in the optimization journey, I check it at different times. But once we get someone rocking, they're feeling great, levels are optimal, they're happy with the routine, I'm happy with the routine, we're on cruise control. Hey, I'll see you back a couple times a year.
Nice.
Yeah. So it depends on each.
So that's a big statement, by the way, because you don't hear anybody talking about women and testosterone ever.
Right. Yeah.
No one says that stuff.
It is needed more, 10x than you think. And it's one of those things that it needs to be discussed. Testosterone is one of the number one reasons, again, why ladies have a lot more of the complications within their brain and their heart and their bones and their sexual vitality and their weight.
But I would imagine that every woman you tell this to is just like, well, I don't want to get hair and I don't want to get bulky and look like a man. Right? They all would say this because I've heard this from women about testosterone and protein.
Oh yeah, and or weightlifting, right?
Yeah,
or do cardio all the time. Yeah, ladies, that won't happen to you. I promise. You'd have to be pumping yourself with Liver King stuff if you want, and if you wanted to be doing that stuff. That's not a responsible routine. Yeah,
I mean, I want to look like Liver King, but I don't want to pump all that shit in my
body.
No.
And like I said, going back to Liver King, I think he is on very common things. I disagree with his routine that he's on, and I disagree with not being open and honest. And like I'll be the first one to raise my hand. It's like, yeah, I'm on TRT, I'm on peptides. Why? Because I'm turning 41 next month, and I want to have the strength.
Optimization.
Yeah, right? Optimization. If done the right way, this is going to help you live longer and stronger. And so it kind of comes down to the choice in life. Knowing what to do, but also working with a specialist because you don't want to do these things on your own.
Well, actually, where we live. Just for the audience may not know this, we're in South Texas. We're on the border of Mexico, and a lot of the things that Liver King is on, we could literally probably walk across the border, which is about 30 minutes from here.
Yep, people
and
do.
Grab whatever we want, right?
Yep.
What's the problem with that?
You don't know the quality. You don't know where it comes from. If you're on your own, what you're just kind of researching online or watching on YouTube, you could be injecting your stuff yourself and you're not getting the proper labs evaluated. So a lot of different factors can come along with that. And I see that all the time in my clinic. I see people who have been on, say, testosterone for 6 to 8 months, feeling great. And then all of a sudden things start changing. They start having sensitivity or grabbing some, gynecomastia, which is man boobs. Maybe they're losing their hair. Maybe they're breaking out with acne all over the body. What's going on? Because there's a threshold that once it's crossed, if not done the right way, then complications will begin because the system is producing the symptoms. And so that's where we got to correct that. That's why, hey, we're not trying to be cowboys. We're not trying to be the Incredible Hulk. We're not trying to be, Superman with these hormones. We want to find the sweet spot. Kind of when I say optimization, what I mean by that is, where were you? Where was I? Where was the other guys and girls that I work with? Where were we when we were about maybe 22, 23, 24 years old? That's optimal in my opinion. We get your levels to where they were at that point in time in your life, and then you relax.
I don't think mine were optimal.
Yeah. Well, maybe they weren't. They should have been, right? They should have been.
Tequila and nicotine at that point.
Yeah.
That was a bad time in my life.
Yeah. Well, they should have been. They should have been, right? But that's what I mean by optimization. Now, so if people are coming to me and say, "Oh, man, I want to be rah rah and everything like that, and get my testosterone to 2,000," you're in the wrong place. We don't do that here.
Yeah,
So.
you're not trying to make people get to Liver King. You're trying to have them live a long life.
Yep, exactly. So there's an art to hormones. There's an art to peptides. There's an art to these things, and like I said, that's what Liver King was on. But like I said, his openness with his audience, again, I disagree with that. But also taking all those things at one time. That's not good practice.
It really was that bad?
It was bad. It was
bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was doubling up on a lot of things that he
said he was like, this was like, when he said it, he's like, it was just a little bit of stuff.
Not with the list that I saw. Now, granted, I should, a little disclaimer, I should say that I'm not sure his routine with all those things, but if he was taking them all within the same month, at some point in time, within the month, it's way overkill.
I mean,
I would never
look that good, man, naturally.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty significant from what I read, and I'm like, I'm familiar with all those things. I've even taken some of those things, but way scaled back and not at the same time.
Interesting. All right. So last topic, man.
Yep.
So you are releasing a book.
Yes, I'm releasing it. So it's finished right now, kind of going into the final stages of publishing, and then hopefully it'll be launched maybe the first week of maybe the first week of March or maybe into February. So
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So tell us about the book.
Yeah.
What is it?
So the title is Age versus Energy.
Okay.
Because I think that a lot of times people have this confusion of, okay, as I get older, I'm supposed to just feel this way. I'm supposed to be fatigued. I'm supposed to gain weight, lose my muscle mass, and just lose my mind and everything. And this is just the way it's supposed to be, But I believe that age is truly just a number, because I work with 65-year-olds that feel like they're 25. They feel great. But I also work with 25-year-olds that feel like they're 65. So really, it's like there's this pendulum that swings when we talk about optimization. So like I said, it's just a book that kind of talks about mindset, because I think it starts with the mindset of really making the choice, hey, do I want to become better, or I just want to kind of accept where I'm at right now? But also the things in history and techniques that people actually use for energy, like coffee and, different vitamins and, proper foods and how to identify things, and the different systems like testosterone, the adrenal glands, the thyroid, kind of learning about these areas, so people, when they go to their clinician, can have that knowledge to ask the proper questions so they can get the answers to help them feel better. It's not a book that covers every single detail in medicine. I didn't want it designed like that. I want it to be a book that anybody can pick up and understand. And so that's what it's going to be about.
So we're going to get it at the end of February, you're saying, right?
Yeah, it'll be available. It should be available soon, but I'm probably going to have the official launch in the end of February.
Well, I got to get everybody to get a copy of this book, right?
You have to, man. You have to.
Age versus energies.
Age versus energies. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Right. So we're on Instagram, Facebook. My clinic in McAllen, South Texas, is called Restore Wellness, RGV. Number is 956-683-6797. Just give us a call. My staff is absolutely amazing. They're rock stars, and they'll help you kind of talk about our process and protocols and guide you through.
Anyone in the country?
Yeah, anywhere in the country. Yeah, we serve telemedicine, as well. And so, that's what we do. And we want to make sure it's a good match, because, like I said, sometimes our clinic maybe isn't for everybody, but we won't know till we learn part of your story, and that's kind of what we do.
Last question.
You got it.
What does building your own economy mean to you?
Oof, man, building my own economy. Well, I think it comes down to, for me, dreams. Because I think that that's what makes life fun, is dreams. And I think that we are only limited by our imagination. So I think when I hear build my own economy, I think it comes down to doing what I want to do in life. Really reflecting on who I want to become and how I want to serve. And I think that when you build your own, you're building it for, of course, for yourself and your family and those you're serving, but you're not building it for anybody else, right? And what I mean by that is this: it's like when I worked for somebody before instead of myself, I felt like I was helping them achieve their dreams, but I wasn't achieving my dreams. I wasn't living to the best of my ability in the way I felt I was called to do. So when I finally broke free of that, it was scary, because I went from making a salary, and I had my Max was only 2 years old at that time, and I had a mortgage, and I was married and everything like that. But it was one of those things that I don't have a job anymore. So I went from making over $100,000 a year to making $200 a week. So it was scary, but it was so rewarding. I had so much energy and enthusiasm. Why? Because this is me. My back is against the wall. This is me. I don't care who's in front of me. I'm gonna swing back.
There you go.
And I want to hit you. I want to hit you. I'm gonna hit you hard. I might get hit too. I'm not saying that I was Floyd Mayweather and bobbing everything, but I got hit. But it was me building it. I was doing it. My choices, my decision. This is my world, my economy, and that's why it was so rewarding to be in that situation. Because unless you're in that situation, you don't know what it's like, and it's pretty fun, but also scary. But at the same time, I can't sit here and say that I did it on my own. People like yourself, people like our crew, people who have my mentors helped me along that way to help me build what I'm still building. I'm not finished yet by a long shot. So
just the beginning, man. That was really good. We'll give a little teaser, guys. So me and Steve have been collaborating a lot on some things because I really I admire the drive, the dedication, and the commitment to be truthful to health. Health is very important to me, especially in my own economy. Health is actually the number one core of everything that we do. Without health, it makes no sense to be rich. It makes no sense to have a family. It makes no sense to have anything. If you can't walk, I mean, you can ask a billionaire today who's 85 and is barely moving around. If he'd give away every dollar to have the ability to keep walking, running, playing golf, they'd trade it in a heartbeat because health is the one thing you can't buy.
Nope.
So, anyways, we've been collabing, and as my movement of collaboration, we hope to have something out for everybody in our community from the Building Your Own Economy, our economy builders. We hope to have something out in the near future for you to take advantage of some of the things that Steve is doing and how he is helping people change their lives, taking control of their health, and more importantly, building their own economy.
Yep.
So,
exciting
looking
stuff.
forward to do this, man.
Super. That's a project I'm extremely excited about. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, Steve, for being here.
My pleasure, my man. My pleasure.
Amazing as always, bro.
Yep. Awesome, brother.